Hi everyone, we are back on our YouTube channel, Raid Oversimplified. If you watched the Sacred Shard opening video from yesterday, I somewhat miraculously pulled the Scartorsus from the last and final Sacred Shard. I have wanted him badly for one purpose, and that's to counter Hegemon in Arena. I got him built yesterday. I already had this Frenzy set that I was collecting over time ready to go on him, and we are on a Hegemon hunt today, but since it's Monday, there's a little more of a Wild West element in Gold 4, and those Hegemon defenses have been harder to come by than usual. Since we are doing Arena anyway, I figured while we wait for those Hegemon teams to surface, we might as well do a short video on Baron, because I was messing around with him in Arena in the beginning of that Sacred Shards video yesterday, as a follow-up to the beginning of the Spider 20 video where I was asking for advice on him, and a lot of people actually asked about him on YouTube, Reddit, and Discord. I thought it was surprising because I considered making a video on him shortly after I pulled him a few weeks ago, but figured that nobody wanted to see a random and popular Void Legendary, but it would appear that I stand corrected. Okay, so this is our boy Baron. I am not going to read these skills to you guys. I hate it when people do that when I'm watching YouTube, because I can read just fine on my own, and if I'm taking the time to watch a video, I expect to learn something beyond what I can gather from taking a 3-second glance at 2 lines of text. But the oversimplified version of his skills is that his A3 hits one target really hard, scales off the number of buffs on him, but in patch I think 1.10.3 the scaling was significantly reduced. Their words, not mine. I just pulled him recently, so I have no idea what the scaling was before, but it is not great right now. This should not even be mentioned in the same breath as Turvel's A3. His A2 is also single target, hits decently hard, places a irresistible defense down for 2 turns. Also, there's a chance to unlock the Sky Piercer, also the same with his A3. He also, of course, has this hidden skill that we just mentioned, Sky Piercer. It's activated by percentage chance when using the other 3 skills. It's an AoE that quote-unquote deals pure damage. We know it ignores shield and block damage buff like the Longbeard's A1, but I have an issue with the wording here because I don't actually know what pure damage means. At first glance, I just assumed that ignores defense, which would make it redundant to put Savage and Cruel sets on him. But second thought, I realized that's not at all a good assumption, because nowhere does it say it ignores defense. It just says it deals pure damage. So again, confusing terminology. I have no clue what it means. Either way, whatever that mechanic does or however it works, it's basically an unblockable AoE nuke that hits for more HP than anything in the arena has HP for. But it's not really useful because I can go 10 turns without unlocking it, so that doesn't make sense to try to build a whole team around making sure he takes enough turns to unlock it and use it, especially when you consider that he needs to be built nuke. Having said that, we finally arrive at his A1, and this to me is one of the absolute premier AoE arena nuking skills in the game. The description here doesn't really do it justice, because it makes it sound like that if you were going to hit one target for 40,000 damage, let's say, for example, and that target only has 39,000 HP, then after it dies, it hits everyone else on the opposing team for the remaining 1,000, kind of like Dracomorph's A1 without the 3-time multiplier stated explicitly, but that simply is just not the case. So let's step into Arena here for a quick second. This is a fairly common arena defense composition in the current meta. There is the turn meter booster in Arbiter, the gimmicky block damage buff from Roshard, defense up and counterattack from Martyr, and the nuker on their team in Xavia. She does hit very hard, but the problem is that their only nuker is Force. I can park, for example, Lysandra, Valkyrie, Martyr, and Molly in here all day and just put in auto, go make a sandwich, and come back to 4 medals. For that reason, we have advantage number 1 for Baron. He is Void, just like the extremely popular arena nuker Skullcrown. Alright, advantage number 2 is that he is capable of hitting much harder with his A1, because the way that the damage here actually scales. I should put the speed here to ×1 so that we can see their numbers better. This is a pretty tough team. You can tell they had almost 200,000 power level, I guess, to use Dragon Ball Z terms. Let's see here. Once again, they have Xavier, who is a nuker, and they have this Trumda, I think is her name. I'm not exactly sure what her base stats are, but I'm willing to bet this higher than Xavier. It's like 750 base defense or something like that. So we are still going to hit Xavier. Okay, so we hit a lot harder on everyone else than we did on Xavier for reasons that I can't explain. I can only guess. That's just the mechanic. Okay, so we found this guy with a pretty serious lineup of legendaries. I'm not really sure how his comp is supposed to work, but that's okay. We'll just nuke it anyway. Yeah, so the best I can tell is that the surplus damage is still affected by defense because it hit for a lot less on that martyr. It's really anyone's guess on exactly how that residual damage is calculated once you kill the initial target, because you simply don't know how much damage was mitigated by the initial target's defense. In this case, let's say it's Shazar, and also the shield buff of a hit Ray, and also how much is mitigated by the damage of the secondary targets like this Lysandra. Okay, I finally got his A3 to proc after quite a few tries against this pretty tanky team. I just missed the left it on auto for too long, and he uses A3 and nuked their Krutroxa. But luckily it did unlock the A3, and now even without the attack buff, because too many turns expired, we get to see that it nukes for a pretty good amount of damage. The weakness of him as a nuker is the same weakness as any other nuker. He simply cannot do enough damage against really any of these four in a comp like this. Probably not going to win this one, but we'll try anyway just to see what happens. This arena team that I'm facing actually was at 200,000 player power, so got some serious resistance in here that did not apply. Okay. Who has the weakest defense out of this group? Probably Arbiter. I'll probably think she's the fastest, so we'll hit her first. Okay, so everyone's shield was able to mitigate the residual damage, and that put us in a really bad spot. Okay, so that last one actually went fairly well. Surprisingly, he was lucky that he unlocked the Sky Piercer, but not something that you can count on. And if they had gotten a nuke off, you can see how that could have been a problem, especially against something like double Standa and Scar Torsus on high resistance. Then it's a serious problem. Let's talk about gear for a second. He has pretty decent defense actually, but just a completely abysmal base speed. That's tough to overcome. How I would recommend for you to gear him if you're using him in arena is to just load as much damage as possible while having a pretty consistent crit rate. Mine's at like 97 or something like that. I fail sometimes using him, but that's just the best Savage crit damage set I have on him. I do have him fully loaded on crit damage at 299 total. I think his attack is something like 4300, 4350 maybe. So he's just all glass cannon pure damage. It's unless you can farm Fire Knight extremely efficiently, it's going to be very hard to get a Savage set like that. I would recommend you put him on, you know, full crit damage, full attack, full cruel, whatever it is that gets you the most damage possible. Someone in the comments asked if he can be used for anything other than arena, and I'm sure he can be used in all sorts of dungeons in some way, but this probably amuses no one but me, but I thought it was comical how quickly he could farm the campaign. In conclusion, he is really just a void AoE nuker that can be really effective depending on the defense you're facing. He is not at all one-stop shop to really anything, but it has great niche utility if you're taking the time to pick your spots wisely in arena. Someone in comments somewhere was saying that he should not be able to waltz through arena like that and should be nerfed. I mean, he is a void legendary, and voids in general are just in a class of their own. If you think about it, is what he does any more ridiculous than, say, Ethos or Gurgle? Yeah, of course not. And that's not even mentioning Santa or Hegemon. I would actually make the case that Crew Traxa is more deadly in arena than he is, because on Savage, she will erase 2 members of their defense if given a turn, basically no questions asked. He is also not at all friendly towards the auto option, right? So huge disclaimer, right? Does not work as intended on auto. If they ever implement a only use default ability on auto options or something like that, that's also selectable per individual champion, then I think he'd be great for pretty much every dungeon. But in the meantime, he is not helping me anywhere outside of arena at the moment. And with that concludes our video today. Thanks for watching. I hope you're enjoying the grind, and have a great day.